G'day, how are you? Look, I've dropped a really detailed overview of visas into the post section of YouTube. So those of you who want to go to YouTube, it's in there, and it's a complete A to Z of visas as at this date. We've got to remember that it always changes. So if we want to have a look at visas, there's quite a different number of different types of visas you can get here, and I'll just go through them. And it all depends on why you're coming, okay? So Australians, we need an e-visa before we come if we're coming on holidays, and you're always coming here on holidays first, so that's the way it works. But there are other types of visas, and it depends on why you're here, all right? So you can have a normal e-visa. If you're here for work or investment, you can get basically a TRC. But you've got to enter on that TRC. So normally you'll come here on a business visa or an e-visa for a start. Those of you who've got APEC cards, we enter through the business side, and APEC cards for business is a really important way of getting here. Then you can have basically the e-visa. And one of the things that I've found with e-visas, you got to go through either an agent, or you go through the e-visa government system. Be careful with the other types of systems. So if it's a .gov.vn, that's probably the best source you can go through. And make sure you give yourself plenty of time before you get your e-visa. The biggest problem I see when people get here is leaving on time. I've had a few people come here, they haven't left on time, and that comes for a number of reasons. They overlook it, or they read the wrong date. One of the best things I can say you got to do is, as you're at the counter, and it's quite amazing. You're standing in line to get into Vietnam. You can't wait to get your passport and get on your way. Take a second and have a look at the date and make sure it's legible. I had a bloke here one day. He thought it was a 6. He thought it was a 10, but it was a 6. All right, it could have been either way, but he got caught here and he got into a bit of trouble. Another guy came here, got his visa, forgot that he got it on a particular date, and he took it as 90 days from arrival. That's not the case. It all depends when you apply and say that you're entering the country. So normally you've got to say you're going to enter the country through a port, and then you're here for 90 days. Overstaying visas is as big a problem here as it is in Australia. All right, so right now it's very difficult for Vietnamese people to get a visa to go to Australia. I've had a number of people go through all sorts of issues. A mate of mine lives just around the corner. He was trying to bring his sister-in-law over for Christmas. He was sponsoring her to go. Everything got knocked back. So if you think it's hard to get in here, you should be a Vietnamese person trying to get into Australia. It's a lot worse. All right, so they're very accommodating. So what we do here is we come in, we get our 90-day multi-entry visa. Now when an agent normally books your visa, they'll say, what's your date of entry, what's your date of exit? And people make the mistake of not getting the full 90 days. All right, it gives you no flexibility if something goes wrong while you're here. So the smartest option is to get the full 90 days. Just say you have an accident, all right? You might have to extend your stay for whatever reason. You just don't know. So make sure that you get that full 90 days multi-entry. You might get to Da Nang and say, geez, I'd love to go and see Thailand. It's $50 to go across and have a look. So $70 odd to go for a flight to Thailand. You can cover off. Multi-entry means you can go backwards and forwards whenever you like. 90 days is a fair stay. So all sorts of reasons. Those of you who want to start a business here, you can actually start your business here. It'll normally cost you about 3 billion dong or $180,000 to start your business up here and bring in enough capital to start a business. Once you've done that, you can get a 2-year temporary residency card. All right. And with a TRC, it's basically when you want to go and travel somewhere inside Vietnam, or you go to an airport to travel from Da Nang to Saigon or up to Hanoi, you hand over your TRC, not your passport. Okay. If you're an overseas traveller going to Australia and you stay somewhere, you've got to hand over your passport, okay? So it's no different here to other places. So once you've got your TRC, that's your passport to get around. You can open a bank account, you can do all sorts of things once you've got a TRC. And it's a great way to actually be in Vietnam. But if you're in here for on a e-visa for a short-term stay, then it's very difficult then to open up anything or get a driver's license or whatever. When I was here and I had my TRC, which is a type of visa, I was able to get a motorbike license, so I can ride around here with a license. I don't have to stick to the small electric motorbikes, and it was a lot easier to get around. I can open a bank account with a TRC, so TRC gives you all sorts of options. So I'm going to do a section soon on how to start a business in Vietnam, just a short term and things to consider, and that'll be one of my future videos. So once you get your visa, you come in, you stay your 90 days and you get out. Now the thing is, if you want to stay here, you can actually go visa as long as you like, as long as they keep accepting you, right? So if you're not an idiot and you don't do stupid things, this country will let you come back time after time after time. In fact, I've seen idiots get the visa to come back anyway. Let's hope they shouldn't have, but anyway, that's just the way they are. So if we have a look at staying here long term, you can do it on your e-visas. You just keep renewing and going across the border and coming back. You go to Thailand for a holiday, $70 over, $70 back, and do a visa run. You're there for a couple of days, but if you go through a visa company from here to Laos, you spend 5 hours on the bus, 2 hours at the border, and 5 hours back. So you're gone for about 12 hours. Up, leave at 6, normally back by 6 unless something strange happens. I had one the other night where they didn't get back till 9 o'clock at night, so it was a pretty long day. But they're comfortable buses, and you get to know a few people and have a chat on the way over. So if people know me, I love to have a chat anyway. So visas, no different from here to Australia. In fact, it's easier here than in Australia. So if you start to complain, have a think about it. Lovely country, easy country to come in and back. They want your money, all right, for you staying here. So it's export income to this country, as all tourists are for that individual country. Tourists coming to Australia earn export money for our businesses. So if you want to stay long term though on a visa, you've got a couple of options. There's actually a study option you can look into where you might enrol in a long-term Vietnam language course for a year, and you can get a student visa. So that's something to actually come and have a look at. So as I said, I've been here. I've been lucky. I've had an APEC card, so I can come in and out quite easily without getting a visa. You can get the e-visa, or you can come potentially as a student, or you can start a business here with a TRC. I'll cover off on businesses soon, so I've got a bit of a view on starting a business here in Vietnam and ways and means of doing that. It's a different country. People coming to Australia have as much trouble starting businesses and getting businesses going as they do here. I have so many guys coming through here saying, I'm going to start a bar. Well, starting a bar is worse than milking cows. You're here 365 days a year. The hours are long. You don't have to milk cows, but you've got to deal with a whole lot of people and a whole lot of situations here in a bar. So before you start a business here, take a cold shower and get good legal advice. And I'm going to interview some lawyers soon, and we're going to talk about starting a business in Vietnam. So thanks very much for listening, and please subscribe to the channel, and we'll keep pumping out. And subscribe to YouTube, because although this might be on Facebook as well, there's a whole lot of things on the YouTube channel that you won't get here. All right, thanks very much guys, and we'll talk to you later.